What's up guys, I'm back here with another video. I'm going to be doing a blue king guide. Last week I did a red king guide, so if you guys haven't checked that video out, go ahead and check it out after this video. But in this video we're going to pretty much go over the build, rune, and paths, the most optimal for blue king at the moment. And we're going to pretty much go in depth on a couple builds that I've been running that I think are super great at the moment. I think blue king is for sure the best form. So if you guys like the video, leave a like, comment, let me know what build you guys are running, what form are you guys running, and let's get right into the video. So for the path that I've been running on Kayn lately, like I said in that red king video, I've been doing raptors into krugs, red, wolves, into grump, blue, pretty much just a full clear, but you skip the buffs and you leave buffs at the end of each quadrant. And then after that I look for a bot gank, if not I do scuttle and then I just reset. I'm usually looking to play for grubs. Grubs are super important. They pretty much define the meta at the moment. A lot of the early game fights for grubs are pretty much game deciding in higher elos. Obviously not in these elos. In this elo it doesn't really matter too much, but like in the higher elos obviously people fight for grubs and the game can be pretty much decided then and there. But grubs just give a lot of XP, they give a decent amount of gold, and they're really strong at the moment, especially on split pushers. And in lower elos, a lot of people tend to split push a lot, and it can be really annoying if they have 6 grubs. So making sure we deny those from the enemy team is the most important. So usually I look to do an innovate after my full clear, and I also look for a dive, especially in lower elos, because a lot of the time they won't back if they're really low and they just greed, but it looks like they actually backed here when they were 1 HP, so this we missed out on that. But we are able to secure the krugs, and we can also go for raptors right after, so we can deny a lot from Mundo here. And in this elo, a lot of the times the enemy jungle won't punish you by taking your top side, so we don't really lose anything, we just gain. Even though they got a kill top, doesn't really matter. I'm going to show you guys how to build the lead regardless of being able to gank or not. Alright, so let's go over the build. I think the best build to go in bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and emerald is Hubris into Profane Hydra into Axiom Arc or Grudge, depending on if they stack armor or not. And then after that you build the other item. But like I said, I think that build is the most optimal in lower elos because you can stack the Hubris a lot in low elo, that's why you rush it. A lot of times you're getting super fed if you're playing properly, so I think that this item is really broken when you're able to stack it a lot. And like I'm going to showcase in this game that you can pretty much stack it really high. I think I've stacked it like 70 or 80, so it's a lot of AD that you get extra. I'm going to showcase the item here, the stats and what it gives, so you guys can see why I think it's really good in lower elos. And for the second build, it's a pretty decent build overall. I think it's going to be good regardless in all elos, and it's just a solid build overall that a lot of other challenger Kayn players are going. Is Yomus into Axiom Arc, into Grudge, into Profane Hydra, and then you can finish that off with Edge of Night or a GA, and then Lucidity Boots. I think this build is really solid overall. If it fits your playstyle, high tempo, early power spikes, then I think this build is not bad for you. I honestly still think Hubris is probably a better item to rush than Yomus in the lower elos because I don't think you really need the movement speed in lower elos because a lot of the players don't know how to position properly. They're pretty much always melee into you, so you're always going to just be able to reach them and kill them. So the extra damage feels a lot better and the item just scales a lot better as well. And in lower elos the games always last really long, like 30 minutes plus, so being able to stack that Hubris is a lot more beneficial than having that Yomus. But yeah, the movement speed is great, but sometimes you just can't end the game early because your team trolls or there's a lot of like things happening that out of your control. So as long as you're able to stack that item is really good, but it just depends on your playstyle. And for the third build, and pretty much a great build in Diamond Plus and even in lower elos as well, it's also a pretty solid build. It's just depending on the playstyle. Some Kayns are really aggressive, some Kayns are not. With this build, it's more of a farming build, but it's really broken. A lot of other challenger Kayn players are also going this build as well. You just rush Profane Hydra and then you go straight into an Edge of Night or Axiom Arc, and then you finish that off with, well, you don't finish it off with the third item is Grudge, and then after that you go for whatever items you need. It just depends on the enemy comp. If you need Edge of Night, if you need Death Dance or GA, Just depends. It can be situational after the first 3 core items. Some Kayn mains have been going also opportunity. I think that item is not bad. They've been using that instead of Yomu's. I haven't really experimented too much with it. I've played with it a bit and it didn't really feel bad. It felt great, but it just depends on the playstyle, to be honest. A lot of players like the Yomu's because it's cheap, gives you a lot of movement speed and early tempo. Other players like the Profane Hydra because you can farm more and scale a lot faster, since you're obviously able to farm a lot faster and counter jungle a lot more. Personally, in my opinion, I think the Yomu's build is not bad, but I haven't really been having too much success with that one, so I've been doing more of the Hubris on the lower elos and then the Profane Hydra rush into Edge of Night or Axiomark in the higher elos, Diamond Plus. I think the Profane Hydra rush is really great because the Tiamat helps you clear jungle a lot faster, like I said, and you're able to counter jungle a lot more, which is super efficient in building a great lead. I'm gonna look to catch his XP here and then can look for a reset. I want to be able to stack my hubris as fast as possible. And so you see the big gap in being able to CS and the enemy jungle not farming, just spam ganking. Even if they get kills, they will eventually fall behind regardless, so it's just all about mental, to be honest. Having a strong mental, like I always preach in my videos, is really important. Because as long as you don't tilt, there's always a chance to win. Tilting doesn't provide anything, just makes the game harder. I honestly think the state of Red King is just really bad at the moment. I feel like he's just really unplayable into most comps. Sometimes he's okay, but he's just really worthless. Like if you go full damage, you just get one shot, and if you go tank, you do no damage. You don't really heal that much. It just feels really bad. I really hope that Riot buffs Red King, or they at least buff some of the items that he builds, because his build path is not the best at the moment, to be honest. Compared to Blue, I think Blue is honestly really solid. I don't really like prioritizing Rift as much, especially not in this season, because it just takes so much time and it just slows down my tempo, my farm lead and everything. It just slows. It's just way too slow, so it just takes way too long for like the value that it gives. It's just not worth it. The combo you can do with Rift and Kayn is really cool, but other than that, I don't really see Rift as like a super high priority objective. I'd rather do my camps, make sure they're resetting, so I can get the most value out of my camps. Always keeping up with my farm and my level lead. Not ever letting the Mundo be able to catch back up. Also for Blue King, you want to go Blue Smite always. Blue Smite is just great at the moment because there's a lot more bushes. The way the map got changed, you get a lot more value from Blue Smite than pretty much any other Smite. Green Smite is really useless, and Red Smite can be good in certain games. I've also experimented with Eclipse a bit on Blue King, and it doesn't really feel bad. Like you can do Profane Hydra into an Eclipse, or you can do Cleaver Eclipse. Just depends. Doesn't feel bad at all though. Eclipse just seems like a pretty decent item if they're heavy melee and you have to go blue. And this build does insane damage. Hubris is stacked great, but we could stack it. We could have stacked it a lot more. We were able to get a lot more kills early. In some games, you're not going to be able to snowball as hard in the early game, but it doesn't matter. In games where you can't snowball that hard early, it's better to obviously go the Profane Rush, or you can go for the Yomu's Rush, depending on what you prefer. We have 6 reps, so taking towers this late into the game is crazy. This is why you play for grubs. Yeah, if you guys like the video, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know again what form are you guys going and what build you guys prefer the most. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.